In our work, we are called to be messengers of hope and to carry this message out into the world when we commit our time, our talents, and our treasures. Let us all continue to share that unwavering hope with each other and with the world around us. And now, David Dombrowiak, our President and CEO, will introduce today's keynote speakers.
Thank you, Bill. The staff and I have been anticipating this afternoon for a long time, especially with our inaugural award to Youth Challenge and Mary Sue Tanis. Thank you. And thank you, David and Martha Hessler, for thinking of the idea of Illuminating Hope Award. It's certainly a great honor for us to start to make aware of the work of not-for-profits in our community every year. But we're also very happy to have two protectors of the disadvantaged, Steve Young and Aaron Huber-Rossen, who are increasing awareness around support for sustainable water systems that produce clean water. Stephen Young is the Executive Director of Living Waters for the World, a Christian ministry that provides sustainable water, emphasizing relationships between volunteers and community partners. The organization has a grassroots story, having trained church teams from virtually every presbytery in the denomination, resulting in over 900 water systems installed in 25 nations, bringing clean water to hundreds of thousands of people. The Living Waters of the World, they believe that all God's children deserve to drink clean water. Steve is also a documentary filmmaker, guitar player, songwriter, formerly lots of things, husband and father of two, a Mississippi native and lifelong Presbyterian, and storytelling is inevitably wrapped up in all of it. Aaron Huber-Rossen is social entrepreneur and the executive director and founder of Drink Local, Drink Tap. She has a 20-year history of civic engagement and project management, working with youth, mentoring, leadership, volunteerism, and environmental stewardship, and academic accomplishments proven by the extensive list of awards and honors. I'll only read a few, and they are that she was in 2017 the Best Activist by Cleveland Scene magazine, selected to present at the Big Bang in 2013, naming Cleve's Most Interesting People by Cleveland magazine, inducted into the Mentor High School Hall of Fame, the Distinguished Alumni Award from Urban College of Cleveland State University, and Cleveland Scene's People of the Year. She's the executive producer of a documentary, Making Waves, and advocates for safe water through speaking engagements and domestically, and designing and building safe water projects globally in East Africa, and her mission is to protect water and save lives. Steve will go first, and then Aaron Huber-Rossen will go second, and I will come after them. Thank you so much. Steve?
How y'all doing? Since I'm a Southerner, I thought I'd lay it on thick just right out of the gate there for you. How many people had a drink of water this morning or any time today? Raise your hand if you had a drink of water. When you drank that water, did you realize you were drinking a miracle? Did you think about the fact that you were drinking a miracle? Do we have a PowerPoint up here? I was wondering, I don't see it up here. There we are. Good. Well, I'd like you to watch this real quick, and then let's talk a little bit.
Hi, my name is Bradford. I live with my mom and dad and little brother Barrett. And whenever I want some water, I just get a glass and fill it up and drink it. I mean, I don't even have to think about it. But there are kids like me, millions of kids, that all the water they have to drink makes them sick. And that's just wrong. Living Waters for the World trains people to help people put in equipment where the water is dirty and makes it safe to drink. This is cool. I mean, you gotta have water, right? So that's why me and my family support Living Waters for the World. Living Waters says all God's children deserve clean water to drink. And I agree. I think that makes God smile.
Out of the mouth of babes, huh? He says it much better than I do. Yeah, everyone deserves clean water to drink. Got to have clean water, right? Well, here's the deal, though. Just a little while ago in Honduras, in a community, one of our teams that was scouting a location took this picture. What are these ladies doing? Washing their clothes. Where are they washing their clothes? Why are they doing that? There you go. Closest water source. Look what happened when they turned the camera over to the other side. What's that grandmother doing? She's getting a drink of water. Is it because she doesn't know any better? No. Because at the time, that was the only place she could get a drink of water until Living Waters for the World system was installed. So I think it's important that we always focus on our why about any organization. Community West Foundation, what is your why? What is the why of Living Waters for the World? That's my daughter, Lily Grace, holding her water drop. So here's our why. Lily Grace and Sam are my kids. And so is that little boy in Honduras. And so are those kids in Haiti. And so is my little water drop there in Guatemala. They're my kids. And they're your kids. Because we are part of God's family. And therefore, all of God's children deserve clean water to drink. That is our why. So how do we do this? Who are my gearheads in the audience? Who are my techies? Not going to admit it? Okay. We clean water in batches. 300 gallons at a time. We use filtration and disinfection. Standard technology, but it's simple, sustainable, and affordable. And those systems are located always in institutions. They're inside of a church. They're inside of a school. They're inside of a clinic. They're inside of an orphanage. And the people who run that institution run the water system. And they provide water for the whole community around them. It's an empowerment organization. Moving on. But here is what makes us different. Guess how this all gets deployed? You do. Volunteers. Volunteers come and form teams from churches and civic organizations, and they train with us for a week on how to do this work. We call it Clean Water U. Isn't that a neat name, Clean Water U? And we learn how to do partnership development and health and hygiene education, and of course, how to install, operate, and maintain what? That water system. And so that we can all go down and do it for them, right? No. Wrong. Strike the word "for" out of your vocabulary so we can do it with them, so that we can share what we've learned with the leadership of the community, because after all, we go home. And these folks get up every day for the rest of their lives to install a water treatment system. So this is what's happened. We started training teams in 2004, and it took off. Much to our surprise, quite frankly. And as we closed out 2018, 970 water systems have been installed in 25 nations. But I never dreamed that it would be in Cleveland, which I love, by the way. Got to go to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame this morning. So I'm in a very good mood. But it's in Cleveland that I get to tell you something that I've never said publicly anywhere. Living Waters for the World and its teams and its partners have now provided water systems, that's a nice mistake, 1,000 communities throughout the world. 1,000 communities. So, I promise there's a 0 below the other 2 zeros, in case you didn't see that. All right, so here's where we work mostly: Latin America, a little bit in South America, in Ghana and Africa, throughout the Caribbean. Our fastest growing network of systems is actually in Cuba, where the church in Cuba has our water systems in several communities, over 50 now, providing health and well-being for the people in Cuba, for example. Pretty cool, huh? So I want to tell you a quick story before I wrap up and introduce you to Aaron. And that is, I want to tell you about a family that I met recently. This is Walter and Carmen Villatoro. Walter and Carmen Villatoro. I was traveling in Guatemala. I was in the Western Highlands, and I was in Huehuetenango. And I said, I'd love to sit with a family who drinks water from a Living Waters for the World water system. And they introduced me to the Villatoro family. And I want you to know that I am older than Carmen. Carmen did not have a chance to drink clean water as a child. Her husband did. They live, like many people in Guatemala live, in a big family group. They have their kids there. They have their grandkids there. This was just a handful of the kids that were there in their lovely home. And they welcomed me in. They were so thrilled I came. And we talked about life. And we talked about the water that they were drinking, and she told me how the most amazing thing was, ever since the team came from a church in Kentucky and worked with their church to install a water system, that not one of her grandchildren had ever had a day of drinking dirty water. And it made hope spring eternal for this family. And I was so moved by this, trying not to cry in front of her. And I said, you know what, Carmen, if my kids were here, they would be playing with your kids and grandkids. They'd be running all over the place, chasing chickens. And they never once would ever think about all the things that divide us. And Carmen got this big smile on her face, and she did this. She said in her own language, of course, "Thanks be to God." She goes, "That's how it will be in heaven." And I realized in that moment that I was experiencing a slice of heaven right here on earth. This is the opportunity that you have as part of Community West Foundation. You have the opportunity to remember that we are all part of one family, and we have lots to learn from each other. See? I had a great time there. It was a wonderful experience. So what I want to remind you is we are all in this together. Every one of us, all over the world. It is the hope for the world that we are all in this together. I want to invite you to join us at Living Waters for the World. Either field a team or financially support one. I want you to support Drink Local, Drink Tap. And I want you to remember that it is a privilege to be able to be in relationship with people different from us. And what you do should be celebrated today. Thank you for letting me talk to you this morning. Thank you.
How is everyone? Good. Nice to see all of you today. In 2010, I founded Drink Local, Drink Tap with nothing but pure passion. I really had no idea where it would go. I just wanted people to care about water and to care about each other. And today I've been asked to speak mostly about our local work, but I'll explain our global connections to our local work briefly as well. 2.1 billion people do not have access to clean water, and 4.5 billion people do not have access to sanitation. We're talking billions. We do not feel the water supply crisis here in the Great Lakes region of North America, but we see many pollution issues. Climate change is affecting the pollution and supply of water and making water security a top priority for international agencies. I just returned from World Water Week in Stockholm, my first time going and a dream of mine to be there. I was with the United Nations, the World Bank, the World Health Organization, and there are people, lots of people, working on solving our water problems. They're good people trying to negotiate a safe water future for all, but the world still needs you. And I'd like to talk about how we can work together to do something manageable and impactful now. Though we can't and shouldn't try to do it all, I found that the 3 pillars of Drink Local, Drink Tap's work truly feed into each other in a holistic, genuine approach to achieve our mission. Our work in Uganda and East Africa feeds into our local educational programming here in Northeast Ohio and inspires activism. And activism fuels people to support access to clean water. And our educational programming raises awareness of issues that inspire people to act both locally and globally. Where can you fit into this system of solving water equity problems? Since 2010, we've reached some major milestones and impacted many lives. And it doesn't happen without our volunteers, staff, and funding partners. You're the first to publicly know, I guess Steve and I are really sharing a lot with you today, that we just reached 25,000 people with safe drinking water, 15,000 students in Northeast Ohio with our Wavemaker program, and 10,000 people in Uganda with safe sanitation. The North American Great Lakes are the most microplastic polluted freshwater bodies in the world. Our land-based consumer habits really need to shift today. What happens in our Great Lakes affects all the waters of the world. The good news is that we can solve this problem. Plastic lives forever, well beyond our lifetimes. But you can improve these statistics by refusing single-use plastic. It's that simple, skipping the bag, skipping the bottle, and also skipping the straw. Skipping the straw is super easy. And if you want to do more to protect our waterways locally here in Cleveland, Ohio, which also protects the waterways of the world, you can come to one of our beach cleanups. We've been cleaning up Edgewater Park's beach since 2010 and cleaned up over 7,000 pounds of trash. We can stop pollution before it harms wildlife or reaches more water bodies. And if you want to help engage our local youth here in Northeast Ohio, invite us to your youth group or classroom. Our Wavemaker program has been running strong since 2010 in Northeast Ohio. And exciting news right now, we're overhauling the program in a 2-year process. We're writing a children's book, creating more online educator and youth resources, and making more documentaries. So locally, we help people take care of the water that we have to appreciate this gift that we've been given through education and action-focused programming. But globally, our efforts are to help people get access to clean water and proper sanitation. And a lot of people wonder, why do we work in Uganda of all places in the world that need clean water? Steve's in 25 countries. Everybody needs clean water, but why Uganda? Well, in 2010, I was with a classroom teacher up here in East Cleveland, and I was talking to her kids about local and global water issues. She happens to be from Uganda. And she was telling me that her kids were writing pen pal letters to the kids in Cleveland saying they had no water, no shoes, no clothes, no books, and my head just started spinning. As someone who had started nonprofits prior to this, helping the homeless and doing other things, I knew I had heard about a problem and had to do something. So what did I do? I took actually a documentarian from Bay, and I went to Uganda in 2011 and started learning about the water issues there. And in case you don't know where Uganda is, it's in East Africa, and to the south of us is Lake Victoria. It's the second largest freshwater body in the world. Ironically, I live and work in both Great Lakes regions of the world, but the big difference is people don't have access to clean water there. Because of the statistic here, and if you can't see it, I'll read it for you. Every 20 seconds, a child under 5 dies due to drinking dirty water. And as Steve was saying earlier, all of the world's children are our children. We are responsible for them moving forward in life. So because of this statistic, I wake up every morning feeling like I have very urgent work to do. Don't worry, this doesn't have sound. This is a local spring in Uganda, and people will wait all day to collect that water. You'll see people down below scooping it up, putting it into their yellow containers, their jerry cans, because they don't have time to wait all day for water coming from a pipe. So they'll wash their clothes with the brown water and move on. Drink Local, Drink Tap impacts the global water and sanitation crisis by engaging our funding partners and local Ugandan communities in project design, implementation, and long-term monitoring of new water sources and sanitation. In our work, water isn't in a silo, and I think Steve could say the same. Water is connected to many different problems in the world. Our work connects to climate change issues, water health, equity, gender, poverty, and education. It all intersects. So by helping people get clean water, we help with a lot of other issues. Billions of people are waiting at dirty water sources right now, trying to fetch water for their families. The field that we work in is called WASH, water hygiene and sanitation, because they all go hand in hand. Water becomes unsafe, as you saw earlier, because people don't follow the safe water chain. Most of the time, they don't have a choice. This young baby here is going to the bathroom in the same water that this woman is washing her pots and pans in. And to the right, Gracious and Rabina are collecting water and walking miles home to use this at their house. I'm happy to say that Gracious and Rabina now have a borehole at their school and for their community, and they have clean water. But this green water was the color of the water they had to take home. Both scarcity and quality of water are huge issues. Some people will wait 14 hours for water. This is a Drink Local, Drink Tap water source that needs to be expanded. It currently is serving, kind of on accident, 5 villages and a few schools. We built this source at a school to serve the school and immediate community and built some latrines you can start seeing behind. But other villages heard about this water source and started coming. We build simple, manageable solutions in water and sanitation to close equity gaps. What you see here is a borehole. We drill deep wells to pull up clean groundwater, and if it's not clean, we filter it. But these are normally based at schools and in community centers. And we build latrines as well. And this is an example of what people would be building themselves to try to go to the bathroom. So we don't want people falling into these sanitation facilities, so we need to build new ones. This latrine here was at a school that served 250 children, and the week after I took this photo, it collapsed. Luckily, no one was inside. And I'm very happy to say that we just built a few new latrines in the past few weeks. Johnson, our director from Uganda, is here. He's been working hard on 2 continents. And in these new latrines at Wabusana Primary School, we cater for girls' specific needs, handicapped people's specific needs, and small children's specific needs. And we can't thank the Community West Foundation enough for helping make these new latrines possible this month. Wabusana Primary School was going to be closed down as students entered into school next week, and they will no longer be in fear of closure. So to leave you with today, just a few simple actions we can take to protect our water here and help each other and help other people get clean water. You can, of course, volunteer, join our board, become a funding partner. You can go home today or choose to, when you walk out this door, just say no to single-use plastics and protect our local waterways. It's a true gift to have all the water we have in Cleveland. And if you're free tomorrow night, we have an event downtown. I'm happy to talk to you about that afterwards. I hope to see some of you there and appreciate all of our funding partners. Thank you.